Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today I am going to be going through the books that I managed to read in February and in March because I didn't do a wrap up at the end of February. So in February I read a total of 6 books, and then in March I read a total of 10 books. These were all a mix of competition books for Spiffbo, competition books for Sphinx, and then books that I just wanted to read. So we're going to go through them today. If they are Spiffbo books, I will link the full video that I filmed for them up above so that you can go and check them out in more detail, because I dedicate like about a 10-minute video to each, going through the blurb and my thoughts. So if you want them, you're more than welcome to go and check those out. And then Sphinx will be kind of quickly talked about, but they are novellas, so they're not massively in-depth. Anyways, so the very first book that I managed to finish in the month of February was actually Hills of Heather and Bone by K.E. Andrews. Now I gave this 3 stars. It's a Spiffbo book. I will link the video for it up here for you to check out my full thoughts and feelings for this, because February was a little bit of a while ago now. So the main premise of this book is that we're following our main character, and when she's discovered she is a specific type of, she has a specific magical ability that is frowned upon in this world, her and her husband have to run away from the people that are chasing them. I have tried to write like one-liners for every single book so that I can do a video at the end of the year, and the one for this for me was where the chicken has more personality than the main character. Take that as you will. But it is a 3-star. It was well written. I don't know what else to say about it. Like I said, check out the video if you want my full thoughts and feelings. The next book was actually a Sphinx novella, and that was A Sorrow Named Joy by Sarah Chorn. This one actually went on to win the whole Sphinx competition, which has now finished. I gave this 2 stars. It was not my sort of book. Well written, do not get me wrong. I completely understand why it went on to win. It wasn't my favourite in the competition, unfortunately, but these things happen. It is following our main character Joy, and her literal life is servitude to her husband, and there is a bit of a sci-fi twist in this, I would say, or as Lisa said, it's speculative fiction. So I don't know, but this book was not it for me. I can understand why it is that for other people. The twist really does kind of bring back into perspective why our main character is idolising her husband so much. But yeah, this one just wasn't for me. I then went on to finish one of my arcs that I have been sent by Black Crow PR and Orbit, and that was The Bitter Crown by Justin Lee Anderson. This is book 2 in the Edian, I hope I'm saying that right, saga. I believe there's going to be 4 books in this. I am so excited. I gave this 4 stars. Like I said, I can't tell you an awful lot about this because it is a sequel, but the first book is The Lost War. I believe it's actually a winner of Spiffbo in the past. It is following a range of different characters who in the first one are sent on a quest to bring back I think she's a queen from another part of the country. And there are so many, these books are so action-packed. There is always something happening. The minute you think, oh, we're having like a nice chill scene, you're not. It's not happening. That's not how it goes. I really enjoyed this. I loved the developments in this book. I think this is literally the book where every single character we follow hits rock bottom for whatever reason. That could be because they've lost faith in themselves, they've lost faith in everyone else, and a range of other, they've lost people they care about. This book is full of heartbreak and grief, and there are some very good highs in this book as well, but for me the main thing was that everyone is suffering, and I really felt for these characters. So I cannot wait to get on to book 3 because I need to know what happens. Also, I will say as well, the sum up of the first book in the start of this one is the best I have read in the longest time. It is basically an old man telling someone he knows the story of what actually has happened in like a gossipy way. It was so good. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. I then finished another Spiffbo 9 finalist, and that was The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan, and I will link my review up here for you as well. This I gave 3 stars. This was better. I wouldn't say this was fantasy. So this got entered in SPIFBO and in the sci-fi counterpart. I think, personally, it fits more in the sci-fi counterpart purely because a lot of what is spoken about within this book is scientific. It is things that they have found out how to do. They've basically... The world is now toxic, essentially, and there is this thing called ghost fog, where if you breathe it in, you get possessed by a dead person. So everyone walks around with basically not defibrillators, that's the wrong thing, respirators on, and if you breathe it in, obviously you get possessed. And that to me is more scientific because the way they got to that mask is science, and a lot of the things that are discussed in this is science. Our main character is autistic, so I thought that was really cool. I am not one to comment on the representation because I myself am not, so obviously look for someone who has better knowledge in how to assess that, please. But I think this was a good book overall. It was well written. There were some pacing issues that I didn't really enjoy, but it is what it is. Again, not my favourite, which really sucks. I'm yet to find the book that just kind of is my favourite in SPIFBO, which sucks. I think this was the first audiobook that I managed to finish in February, and that is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, also known as S.A. Chakraborty, who wrote the Daevabad trilogy. I gave this 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. I think this is so good. The main character we're following is Amina Al-Sarafi. It is written from her point of view, so she is also telling the story. The audiobook is great for this as well because she is telling the story to you, and there are bits where you can hear her kind of turning away from the microphone that she's recording into, or the scribe that she is telling, and saying, well, do you really want me to say that? Can I skip that? Do you want that to be skipped? Thought it was great. Absolutely enjoyed it. Our main character also is a mother. She's an older character, which is very rare for me to read from, and I think it's very rare in general to read from as well, because a lot of our protagonists are chosen teenagers or older gents, as I have found. So to read from a mother and an older woman's point of view was a breath of fresh air. I absolutely adored it. I thought it was great. I cannot wait for the sequel to this. I think it's going to be so good. There were a couple of twists and turns throughout this book as well that I really enjoyed, and I can't wait to see how they play out in later books. I'm not quite sure where they're going to go with the next book, if I'm completely honest. This could have quite easily just stood by itself, but I believe there are going to be more of them, so we shall see what else they write. But basically, Amina sets off on a quest. I didn't even think about that. Amina sets off on a quest because she is kind of blackmailed into going to find this rich woman's granddaughter because she has been kidnapped. Also, we think. So yeah, it's a really interesting tale. I really enjoyed what Shannon Chakraborty did with this book and where it went and all the twists and turns, as I've already said. So yeah, 4 stars. Really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed the audiobook as well, so I'd highly recommend. And then the final book that I managed to finish in the month of February was actually Dragon Meat by Angela Board. I think that's how you say her name. They entered into Sphinx, so this was another short story, and I gave this one 3 stars. So this is actually a prequel, or like a later published prequel, I'm not too sure, to another series of books, and it is set in a world where everyone is starving. The people in power aren't really doing an awful lot. There is this temple in the middle of this city that take sacrifices, and you essentially get fed to dragons, which is bonkers, right? And our main character meets this guy and he offers to feed her. It's basically the long and short of it. It was a good book. I gave it 3 stars. Again, it was well written. I probably would read the rest of at least the next book, the first book in this series, given the chance, but seeing as my TBR is as out of whack as it is at the minute, I can't see it happening anytime soon, unfortunately, but I do think that this could be the start of a very good series. And then we get into March. So again, another audiobook that I listened to and managed to finish at the start of March was Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. This was a reread for me. Again, I gave it 4 stars. There were parts of it, I was sat there when I'd finished it and I was thinking, like, is this actually meant to be a 5-star? Should I up my rating of it? But I thought, no, there was a reason I gave it 4 stars at the start. We're going to stick with the original rating. This was in preparation to read the sequel, which I really wanted to read last month, as in, I'm filming this in April. I wanted to carry on this series in March, and I just didn't. I have not had the time. These books are chunky as heck, so I unfortunately have not managed to carry on. We are following our main character, Gabrielle de Leon, who is the last Silver Saint, which is someone who slays vampires in this world. I love that J. Kristoff is bringing back the vampire hype. I know other people are writing vampire books too. I have got a couple of them on my shelves. Rin Chapeko is another one that I want to mention. And I have an indie or two on my shelves as well that also feature vampires that I want to check out. But what I really adore about this first book, especially because I haven't carried on the series, is that Gabrielle de Leon is so all over the place. So he is recounting his story to a vampire scribe. I like people who are retelling their stories, I think that is another trope that I quite enjoy. But he is retelling his story to this scribe, and he is so all over the place. When he doesn't want to talk about a certain topic, he won't. And there are parts within this book where Gabrielle and the scribe are arguing over which part of the story he will get to, and obviously Gabrielle turns around many a time and goes, well, I'm here for the rest of my life, so I have time to tell you these things. I just don't want to talk about it right now. It's so good. It's so dark. It's so gripping. There is grief in here. There is, I do like how Gabrielle is so grumpy. And I get it, because he's been through so much. But because we're going backwards and forwards in his timeline, well, obviously all backwards, because his present is being captured. But we are going backwards and forwards between different points within his timeline. You see him as a teenager. You see what has happened to him to get him to this point. It's so good. J. Kristoff is such a great writer. I really enjoyed this. And there are some darker smutty bits as well. And there are some darker smutty bits as well in here. Just be warned if you are not aware. But obviously this has been out for a couple of years now. And as always, J. Kristoff has got a bit of a hype around him. So I really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to getting to the sequel. I don't know if I'm going to read it physically or audibly. I really wanted to read it physically, but I feel like it's going to have to be an audio. Otherwise, I don't know when I'm going to get to this. But yeah, it is one of the ones. Empire of the Damned, which is the next one, is one of the ones that I am desperate to read soon. Next I have another Spiffbo 9 finalist, which was Arrival Most Vile. Again, I'll link it up here for you. Check it out. This is a cozy romance fantasy book following 2 rival shop owners who both own potion shops. One is called Ambrose, and he has been in his potion shop for many years. He's apprenticed there. He's worked his way up. He's very talented. And then Eli moves across the street and opens his own potion shop, kind of because he just wanted to. That is Eli as a character. He's very impulsive and trying to find the next fun thing to do, and I did enjoy how that carried on being played on throughout the book, because it wasn't like he was just like, I'm going to open a potion shop and then he stays there forever. He goes through the motions of losing interest, which was quite understandable from my point of view. Anyways, and then obviously they fall in love, because what else happens in a romance? So I gave this one 3 stars. It was alright. I really enjoyed the world. I think that is what gave it 3 stars, was the world and the other characters around them. I had no interest in the romance. I had none, because this whole book is basically that plot. And there are other side plots, but this was the main one. And I'm not a main romance girl. But it's good. It's well written. I think I can understand why other people really, really enjoyed it. Definitely check it out if it's something you were interested in. Then I managed to finish another Sphinx finalist called Black Cap by Benjamin Averian. I really hope I'm not butchering that name too much, and if I am, I'm very sorry. This is a short story following our main character, who used to be a detective, and he has decided that he's no longer going to do adultery cases, because the last one he did ended up with the man being hung or hanged, however the grammatical term is for that. and he doesn't want to kill anyone anymore. Not that he actually killed him, but his actions led to that. So he decides that he is going to investigate the paranormal, because no one can get hurt from that, surely. It was a 3-star. It was good. I really enjoyed the writing. I really enjoyed the premise. There were quite a few places where I was like, why is this happening? But I can understand. I would have preferred, if this book was a full novel, like a full novel by itself, I think I would have loved it more, because we would have got more of the stuff that I enjoy. So the world building, the plot expansion, the character expansion. I think it is set up for other things. I don't know right now what they are. I don't know if that is like a prequel and then there's novels coming, or if they're just going to be a load of short stories. I do not know. But it is an enjoyable read. The writing is very good. It was just, I wanted more from it and I just didn't get it. Next, I managed to finish the last Biff Bow 9 book that I've read so far. I've got one left to read, and that was Daughter of the Beast by E.C. Greaves. I will link my full review up here for you. Our main character is called Zinnatel Fairwinter, and she is essentially kidnapped at a very young age. She is 10 at the start of this book, and she's about 15, 16 by the time we finish it. And this was good. What did I give this? I have all of my ratings here. I gave this 3, which is good, because this would have got a 4, apart from there are a few pacing issues, which I go into detail in the video. And I still want to carry on with the rest of this trilogy. All 3 books are out. I do want to get to them eventually. I think the setup for this is there. I think that's really good. I think the character is great. There were some parts that I was just like, how have we got here with pacing? That seems to happen occasionally in some of the books that I've been reading, but it's fine, it's cool. The writing, to me, started off a little bit rocky, but progressively got better as we went further into the story. Obviously, just the author finding their groove, which is fine. And yeah, I think this has got potential to be something I really enjoy. I'm hoping that the further into the series we get, the older our main character gets, because I think watching her go from 10 to 15, 16 was just not necessarily something that I want to read anymore. It is very much a coming of age story, which I am not too much of a fan of anymore, having come of an age. But I can see why people really, really enjoy this. Like I said, I'm hoping to carry on with the rest of this series at some point once I've got Spiffo out of the way, even though when I get this out of the way, it'll be Spiff Bow 10. So the next book that I managed to finish is actually an It's All About Fantasy book club read that I read with myself and Lisa. We do it every single month. We have literally just finished this series, and that was The Colour of Vengeance by Rob J. Hayes. Like I said, we've just finished this series. All of the live shows are either on my channel or Lisa's channel, so you can check them all out now. This was 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. I think there was a little bit of basically we've had the lovely Mahir on from Fantasy Book Critic, who is like Rob J. Hayes' like #1 fan, and he said to me that if I enjoyed the first book, I would probably give the second one 5 stars. Now that set a really big bar for me, and these books are fantastic, do not get me wrong. However, it's the next one that's 5 stars for me. Sneak peek at my April wrap up. But yeah, this is the second one in the Ties That Bind trilogy. We are following, I can't really say anything about this if I'm completely honest, because it spoils the ending of the first book, and I can't say anything about the next one because it spoils things from this book. But basically the first book we're following multiple different people. We're following 3 different perspectives, which is Jesset Valerne, Thankful Darkheart, and the Blackthorn, and these characters are so bad. Like, they are just not nice people, but somehow Rob makes you feel things and fall in love with them throughout this whole series. So it's definitely worth checking out. If you want any of the actual spoiler conversations between myself and Lisa, like I said, they're all on our channel, so go and check them out. And hopefully you will also read this, and if you want to read this and then go and watch the spoilers, which I would recommend doing, do that, then come and watch our thoughts and feelings, because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but these were good. We're getting through a lot of books here. The next book I actually read physically, and this is the second Adrian Tchaikovsky book I have managed to finish, and that was Alien Clay. So this is his newest release. This came out at the end of March. I did do an Instagram blog tour post for this. My Instagram's always linked down below, make sure you go and check it out. I'd really appreciate any support. But yeah, so I did a blog tour for this, so I have read it. Thank you very much Black Crow and Tor for sending me a finished copy. This is following one perspective, which is our main character Arton, and he is a professor from Earth, but he has been shipped off to Kiln, which is a Labour planet, because this is set on a different planet in space, because he has rebelled against the Mandate who run Earth, and he has basically been saying some things and having conversations that he shouldn't have that go against everything they say. When he gets to Kiln, he realises that there have been things, quite a lot of things, missed out in the broadcasts back home, because the things that he is finding on this planet were never spoken about on Earth, and that is partially, possibly, why he got sent to this planet instead of one of the other two Labour camps that he could have gone to, because the commandant of this planet is doing research into this planet, and him being a professor and having knowledge in some of these things is actually a really helpful thing for this Labour camp. So I really enjoyed this. It was just really enjoyable. Like, it's dark, it's gritty, you're finding things out at the same time as our main character, because he doesn't know this planet, because he's never known anything about it, so I didn't feel like anything really was info dumpy. I will say the thing about Adrian's sci-fi is that it's not what I would say is easy sci-fi. There are words in this book that I do not understand. Now that could just be because I am not au fait with all of the scientific information. That could be because I was a bit tired on the day. I don't really know, but it doesn't have the humour that I have loved in the Andy Weir books, which is basically how I would just pitch them. Andy Weir to me is more of an easy sci-fi. This is more of a technical sci-fi, but still very enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. And he's got another book coming out later this year that is actually called Service Model, which is another sci-fi, and I'm looking forward to hopefully reading that one as well, and giving you my thoughts and feelings on that too. Now, this book is the second 5-star that I had given in 2024. So good. And it was Renier by Carl Forshaw. So thank you very much, Carl, for sending me a copy of this book. He did send me this. This is an indie fantasy book where we are following multiple POVs, which I really enjoyed, because to begin with, I didn't think we were getting that, and I was a bit worried. But by the end of this book, I was in love with so many of the different characters. There are so many twists and turns in this book, and it all kicks off when Renier gets 3 books come across her desk that she has to transcribe, because that is her job. She is a scribe, and they are forbidden books, restricted books. And when one of these books was actually out of containment, or whatever it is called, a few years back, it almost wrecked someone's life. And someone died because of it. So that got me thinking, like, what could be in a book that would make it this powerful? And it's so good. It's so good. I cannot wait for the next book. This series is pitched to be 9 books long, which is absolutely bonkers, and I cannot wait to get to the sequel. I really enjoyed this. I was so blown away. I couldn't stop reading, and when I did stop reading, I wanted to carry on. I think this is so good. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth all of the hype that I've seen around it. And like I said, I can't wait to continue. Now, the final 3 books, 2 of them are Sphinx books and one of them was an audiobook. So the first one was Dark Heart of Illmore by Cara N. Delaney. Now, this was a Sphinx entry. This is a horror book, and I gave it 3 stars. So in this book, we are following our main character Iris, who has returned home because she is attending the funeral of her young nephew, and already she feels like things are kind of weird around here. Something's not quite right, and that's just the start. There are so many twists and turns within this book. Some of them are obviously quite believable, and I think most of it was quite believable up until we got to the point of why everyone was so cagey and why everyone was so weird. But I get it. I really get it. It's horror at the end of the day. There are some obviously mystical elements to a lot of them, like paranormal-esque things. So I think it's a good book. I think it was well written. I did enjoy that element of it. Horror's not really my chosen genre, which is cool, so it was nice to kind of step out of my comfort zone and experience something like that, which is what I really enjoyed about taking part in Sphinx, if I'm honest, was that a lot of the books aren't all fantasy and sci-fi, so I managed to step out of my comfort zone quite a few times and find new books that I didn't mind reading. Again, nothing really gripped me, if I'm completely honest, but I think that's just kind of been how I've been for the past few months in both competitions that I've been judging in. And the next book that I managed to finish is Those Left Behind by NC Scrimger. I was very kindly sent a copy of the audiobook to review, so thank you very much for that. And I gave this 4 stars. This again is a multi-POV, which is my favourite way to read books. And we are following loads of different points of view from a trip out into space to save basically a different version of Earth, which is quite interesting. We're following the captain of the ship, the pilot of the ship, someone who has come from this new version of Earth who is kind of looked down upon because she is classed as scum because she lives there. But it's not true. She's very, very clever. We follow alien races. There's so many different points of view in this story that I really enjoyed. I think the best thing about this audiobook as well is that a lot of this book takes place over like the radios and stuff in masks. And this is portrayed in the audiobook really, really well, which really added to the story. It definitely makes the atmosphere better, in my opinion, which is fantastic. And I love when books do stuff like that. So I definitely recommend checking this out if you want. This, again, this is more like the easy sci-fi in the sense that we are concentrating on a political intrigue. There is reasoning, there is rebellions, there is betrayal, there is discovery. There is so much stuff in this series, and there's a bit of like darker sci-fi as well in this, which is pretty cool, and I really enjoyed it, so I can't wait to carry on with the rest of the trilogy and check it all out. So the final book that I managed to read in the month of March was A Wolf in Thieves' Clothing by Lily Ann Crow, and the description of this book is quite short and sweet. It basically just says that Fry, I hope I'm saying her name right, she joins a crew who are about to take on a very dangerous heist. Little do they know that the end of their mission is to be the start of hers. And I can't really say a lot about how it ends up because it will spoil the whole thing, but it is well written. It was enjoyable. I think I gave this 3 stars as well. Did I give this 3 stars as well? Need to check. Yep, I gave this 3 stars as well. It is, like I said, well written, quite punchy, doesn't stick around. I quite liked how it ended. I think that's quite interesting, and it really does set it up well for another book and another series, which is really cool. So I'm looking forward to potentially again checking that series out if I manage to have the time once I've got through all of the other many things that I have got on my TBR that seems never ending. But there you go, those are the 16 books that I managed to read in the past 2 months. Hopefully these will become a little bit more frequent if you enjoy them. If you do enjoy them, let me know by leaving a like on this video. It really supports me and my channel. Leave me a comment down below of your favourite book that you've read in the past couple of months. Mine is definitely Renia. I am so excited to carry on with that series, but as it's not out yet, I'm really looking forward to finding my next 5-star. I've got a couple of hopefuls that I'm hoping will just give me that 5-star, bring back that reading joy, so fingers crossed that is what's going to happen. If you want to leave me an emoji, leave me any like pens or pencil emojis for Renia, because Renia's main job is as a scribe, so that would be really cool. And if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ring that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. I try to upload twice a week, so make sure you come back to see more bookish content from me. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I hope you're having an amazing time, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye.